If you would join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, first we thank you for allowing us to live in this beautiful county, in this beautiful country that we call home, where we are blessed to have abundant freedoms that we all take for granted every day. But we thank you, Lord, for giving us these and providing those to us, even though we are unworthy. Lord, we ask your blessing and your guidance on tonight's business. We have an important agenda ahead of us. We're passing the budget, and we ask you to guide us and to help us as we do the business we need to do tonight and as we carry on with that in the upcoming year. We also ask you to be with our first responders, with the military, and everyone who is standing in harm's way to allow us to have those freedoms. And we ask you to please allow them to go home at night safely. We ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Jill. So at this point, I would like to ask that if you have a cell phone, that you turn it off, because we're going to be talking about budgets, and you may be taking on a whole new budget category out of your own pocket if your phone goes off. So please turn off your cell phones. At this point, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and again, to share, if you come to the microphone, please be sure to speak into the microphone so everybody can hear. And we are going to make a concerted effort tonight to do the same ourselves. So. As we start, the first item on our list is the Turkey Creek Conservancy budget, and we are merely approving their budget tonight. It's not an open hearing. We're merely approving their budget as the hearing was held at our last meeting.
So moved.
So we have a motion to approve, and we have a second. That amount, the amount that they will be levying for 2023 will be $262,900, and their adopted budget is $587,900. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. The next one that we need to address is the Syracuse Public Library. Is there anything you wanted to say? It's not a big deal. Okay, so. No, you're fine, honey. I just didn't want to.
You know what? We appreciate you being here.
Yes,
though.
we appreciate you coming. So the amount that they would be budgeting is $935,215, and their expected tax levy would be $499,000. Do we have a motion on that one?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on those. All those in favor, raise your right hand. No one opposed. And the third one is solid waste, and that solid waste, their budget, the total adopted budget was $299,265, and the adopted tax levy would be $264,685.
Sue-Ann, it's
It's
922.
900, yeah, 922,265.
You said 299?
Well, that's my dyslexia.
That's okay.
got
They
in the way.
can,
I'm
they
sorry.
can live on 299.
I'm glad that you spoke up. That's good. 922,265. And so could we have a motion on that one?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Okay, the next item that's on our agenda is to merely clarify what we had voted on at the last meeting for the community corrections. There still seemed to be some concern and discussion, but I believe that we already passed that the wage would be $45,490 for the home detention officers. And unless somebody wants to make a change, it will remain that for 2022, $45,490. And then the pay for 2023 would be $47,320, which is equal to what the jailers are making, the jail corporal is making, as we were instructed through the salary ordinance where WIS provided the information.
I make a motion to approve the $45,490 for 2022 retroactive back to July 1st through the end of the calendar year, and then the plus 4% increase to 47,320. These are just the home detention officers and drug court case manager salaries. The director is on our sheet also, but that has never been a question.
Right, okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and actually, all we're doing is confirming the action that we took previously, because we did already have a motion that had approved this. So all those in favor, raise your right hand. Did you raise your hand? Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't see you.
I'll
Okay.
turn.
Motion carried.
I can turn.
And so at this point, then, we're to the actual budget adoption status. So the information on the budget, Michelle has some late-breaking information.
I do, yes, very late breaking. So if you recall, when we had our budget meetings in August, that you approved 2 new sheriff deputies contingent on them being grant funded. They applied for the grant, we was checking with them, they let us know last week that they were unsuccessful in being accepted for that grant, until 4:35 PM today. Sheriff Dukes called and said they had just received an email from ICJI saying that they accepted our application for the COPS grant. So if you recall, this is a 3-year grant, so the first year, the grant will pay 75% of the wages, second year, 50, third year, 25, and year 4, they're 100% on ours. So I did jump in and change the Form 4 on your budget as well as the salary ordinance, so my records are different from yours. I also called in Jamie Ladd, my chief deputy, and had her come in and double check all these figures. So even though they were done last minute, 2 people have verified these amounts to be correct. So on the Form 4, previously, your county general adopted budget was $25,370,130. And with the changes of these 2 deputies, as I've entered in, that total is now $25,480,080. And then I added that 109,950 to the bottom line to that as well. So those updates have been made on my copies, but they are not on the copies that you have presented in front of you. But other than that, that is the only last-minute breaking news change to your paperwork.
Michelle, I would like to thank you, and please pass along our appreciation to Jamie for coming in when she was
Absolutely.
officially on vacation to make those changes.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
will,
thank you.
I will.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for all your due diligence.
All right. And do you guys have any other questions on the budget that I can answer for you?
Michelle, did you bring us the total down then? Did you have that number for the bottom of that sheet?
Yes, the total for tax dollar funds, previously it was $46,490,282. And with adding the 109,950, that brings that total to $46,600,232.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Make a motion to approve the budget with the new figures included.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carried. And then we need to adopt the 2023 salary ordinance as well. So we need to make a motion to cover that.
I'll make a motion to accept the salary ordinance.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Thank you. I believe we can officially say that the 2023 budget is finished. It's an accomplishment this year. And now all we have to remember is that you don't write 2023 on anything until several months from now. So moving right along, we're ready to open the actual regular portion of our meeting. And so we need a motion to approve the minutes from 8:25 and from 9:08.
So moved.
I'll
We have a-
second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Okay, moving right along, I think we're ready for the Bowen Center.
Good evening. My name's Jay Baumgartner, and I am the CFO at Bowen Center. We are here to kind of share with you kind of what's happening at Bowen Center and some of the changes that are going on. And so Mr. Murphy here passing out some of our annual reports, kind of share with you, and we got some other team members here to kind of share as well. And so, as far as myself, just last month I celebrated my 31st year at Bowen Center. Lifelong resident of Coxsackie County, and so yeah, so I've been with Bowen Center for 31 years now. And so, as you know, hopefully it was in your budget, the county does fund Bowen Center for mental health services that we do in our county, and we definitely just want to share our appreciation for the funding that we do receive, and hopefully we can show how we're being good stewards of those dollars that we are spending here in the county. And we also want to give special recognition to Mr. John Garber, who's been serving as the county council rep, serving on our board of directors for the past, I believe, 8 years. Is that right, John? That's right. Wow. So yes, he's been on our board of directors for the past 8 years, been a great teammate, advocate for Bowen Center. We very much appreciate his time and service that he has spent here with Bowen Center. So yeah, one of the biggest changes going on in Bowen Center is we, after 31 years, I got a new boss. And so I'm still working on training them in, breaking them in. But I am going to call him up here, Dr. Rob Ryan, to kind of share his views on Bowen Center. So.
Thank you, Jay. And again, yeah, from me too, obviously, John, working with you over these last 5 years, definitely appreciated. Again, as Jay said, Dr. Rob Ryan, I'm the president and CEO of Bowen Center. 18 years ago, I started at the Bowen Center as an intern. It didn't take me very long to see that it was an organization that I wanted to do more than just be an intern for 1 year. See, Bowen Center creates opportunity for our staff. It doesn't just create it for me. When I started in 2004, there was around 200 employees. Today, we have over 1,350. By creating that growth and opportunity over the years, it keeps people with expertise locally here in the community that I argue you probably have to live in a rather large urban area in order to receive. So definitely opportunity is one of the things that I stayed over the years, but it wasn't the only thing, and I would argue it wasn't the most important thing. I think the most important thing that kept me over the years is something that you should be proud of, living in a place that Bowen Center exists and that we see people differently that we serve than other places. See, you can talk to just about any other community mental health center and they'll say serving people with mental illness or an addiction in their community in which they live is best. It makes sense. Their family is often there, the services they know they're there, and of course, when they graduate from services or they grow, they're actually in the place where they learned those services. But what Bowen Center showed me, and that I definitely believed that's different, is that we don't just think that people are best served in the community. We think our community is better by having people with mental illness live with us and amongst us. And that's what's different. And I think that's something that is really important to note. Over the years, I've learned things like humility, unconditional love, authenticity, and other things working with people with mental illness. These are not just people that need our help, they're people that enhance our own lives. And so we're proud to have people living in our community who may be struggling with mental illness, but they're not just people who need help, they're valuable citizens that live here in Kosciuszko County. So what I wanted to do now is to share some of our staff, and Mike is one of those that we're going to have talk to you about the things not just that we're doing or have done, but the things we plan on doing. So Mike, you want to come up?
I'm Mike Murphy. I'm one of the directors for Kosciuszko County. I've been with Bowen Center for 12 years now. I am the director over 3 different locations currently, our health clinic here in Warsaw, our Syracuse office, and then our community project in Enchanted Hills. And I tell you what, we cannot do what we do without the great help from our community partners. The schools have been a huge resource for us just in connecting us to kids. We've got a relationship with all of the public school systems in this county, and we help serve those children in the classrooms, in their homes, in the communities, and we really are trying to go after areas where they're struggling. Those are our home-based staff, community-based staff that are going in there, helping with what their issues are, whether it be struggling with depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation. Those are the kids that we're helping with and that the school is connecting us with. Another one is the DCS program, the Department of Child Services, and just being able to work with families. I actually want to share a story that highlights two of the programs that we work with. One is with the Department of Child Services, and the other is JCAP. Over about the past 9 months, we've been working with a family, a mom and a husband, who were having their kids removed. And because of alcohol use, substance abuse, all of those different things, the father has successfully completed the JCAP program and is now on unsupervised visitation with his children. The mom is now on a trial home visit with her children because of the services that we were able to get connected with, and that DCS partnered with us and says, hey, we want you to take this most vulnerable population, and that's what we see. That's who we want to see, is that vulnerable population that's struggling, and we want to help them out of their addictions or whatever their mental illness may be. We want to help them learn how to cope with those things and overcome it. We also have launched a health clinic in the past 2 years, and we're currently seeing about 500 patients that have said, we want to make this place our place. What's unique about those 500 patients is those 500 patients were patients that probably weren't getting care before this. Because again, we want to see the most underserved population. So these were patients who didn't have insurance or just couldn't get into the doctor in a reasonable time frame, so they were utilizing the ER or treating even a med stat like their primary care physician. And we've taken 500 of those patients. We actually have an event coming up on October 19th that we're doing at our clinic. That's just a fall into health festival, which is going to be just a blast, trying to get kids and all of our patients out just to enjoy a good time and kind of celebrate the clinic and the year that we've had this past year. Yeah, and I'm going to invite Shannon Hannon. She's our COO up, and she's going to talk a little bit about where we're headed.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for hosting us this evening. It's always a pleasure to get to come and share with you the good work that we're able to partner with so many in this community to do. As Mike said, I'm Shannon Hannon. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Bowen Center. And while I'm new to this role as of July 1st, when we saw Kurt Carlson retire, I'm not new to Bowen Center. What brought me here originally was the ability to meet mission each and every day. I'm passionate about ensuring patients, regardless of their background, have equal access to high-quality health care. What we find with our patients is that oftentimes they have a difficult time maneuvering those healthcare systems. It's often a challenge. And so what we've decided to do with the launch of things like the health clinic that Mike talked about is to find new ways to engage patients in hopes that we can still combat the mental health care crisis that we see rising each and every day as a result of coming out of COVID-19 and the landscape as it continues to change. So instead of being a passive organization that sits back and says, we're here, come see us if you need us, we're finding new ways to engage with this community. We've seen great partnerships, as Mike said, from both DCS and our law enforcement and the schools. But we also want to partner with healthcare providers where we know we have wraparound services to meet those mental health needs. We hear from our partners that there are additional gaps in the community around primary care, dental and optometry services. The model we're looking to engage and have launched allows us to move into those services so we can hopefully ensure our students in our classrooms, our citizens here in the community have access to all of the services they need. So we're excited to continue to partner with you all on this journey to ensure Kosciuszko County continues to thrive and flourish. I'm going to invite Jay back up to talk specific numbers because I know you want to hear about that significant impact here in the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So yes, I mean, if you kind of just take a peek at our annual report, you can just kind of get a brief summary of kind of what we're doing in Kosciuszko County. If you look at the overall financials, you can see we get a small percentage of our revenue from actual patient charges. Vast majority of money is coming from some sort of government source, whether it's Medicare, Medicaid, or federal funding, state funding, and of course, local funding that we get from you. And we certainly try to be good stewards of those funds, and we always try to make sure we serve anybody and everybody regardless of their ability to pay. As you can see in here, we gave over $2.6 million in free care just this past year. We got over 430 employees working in our communities, and over $30 million in payroll is paid to those employees that live and work here and spend those funds in this community. Really do try to balance our mission and be good stewards of funds. We got a lot of programs that, as a CFO, we don't make money operating. Our inpatient unit that we have over in Pearston, we don't make money on that. We lose money. Our transitional homes, group homes that we have that allow us to keep individuals in our communities, we don't make money on those programs as well. But it keeps them people here. It doesn't get them transferred to state hospital. We're able to serve them and provide the care that they need. And so we really do try to balance kind of that mission of what our patients need. How do we keep in our communities? How do we make sure they get the treatment they are needed? And at the same time, balance our bottom line, be good stewards of the funds that you provide us. So we're going to bring Dr. Ryan kind of up to kind of finish it up, and then we can certainly answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, thank you. With your long agenda, we didn't want to take, we just give you just enough. Certainly, as you've heard, while we're proud of who we are, we really want to be more for the community. We understand that there's a lot of people who suffer with mental illness and addiction silently and who don't reach out to us, and we feel just as committed to those. People who may be embarrassed due to stigma that they won't come to the Bowen Center, we believe they would reach out and come to a Bowen Health Clinic. And that's why we're trying to change what we're doing, because seeing the people we see, we're proud of that, but we also know that when we pick up the same newspapers that you do and you read a 42-year-old died, what happened? And you start asking friends and you think, oh, maybe they took their own life. What is that? We feel just as committed to them when they don't come to see us as if they do. And finally, we're also really proud of the services that Shannon talked about, because we know that people with mental illness and addiction die 20 years younger than the general population. We had a lady who died at 60 years of age who lived in our own facilities. That's 20 years younger than the general population. And when I went to talk to our staff that worked there, and I said, what happened? And they said, well, she died of coronary heart disease. And they said, it listed on their death certificate that she died of natural causes. And we contend that it's not natural to die at 60 from coronary heart disease. And so it's this commitment of treating people with mental illness just like all of us is what drives us. And it's something that we're proud of, and that's really where we see our future. So the last thing I'd say is an invitation to all of you is if you'd like to come and see this new location, see what we do, meet the people that we serve, we would love to give you a tour and to really see your dollars in action. So like Jay said, if you had questions, we're certainly available, but that's it for this evening from us.
You had mentioned the Fall Health Festival. Is that a public festival, or is that,
Yes,
can you give us some information about that, the location, times, et cetera?
sure, we can do that.
Yeah, so we're hosting that at our health clinic. We've got a large parking area there. It's going to be an outdoor festival, and that's at 2219 Du Bois Street in Warsaw, right at our clinic. That'd be a great time to come and get a tour. We're doing a free meal, some games for kids. One of the great things that I'm really excited that we're doing is we've set up a nice fall backdrop for families to come in and get a nice family photo that they can take and have. So that's one of the things that we're doing. We've also gotten the community to buy in. They've given us 4 donations. The Trail House has given us a children's bicycle to give away. We've gotten a Lego set. We've got a grill from Lowe's. And there's one other donation that's slipping my mind right now. But
And Mike, what is that time frame?
it's 3 to 6. So that's a Wednesday evening. That's right at the fall break for Warsaw schools. So we thought that would be a good evening to host that event on.
I'm curious how the health clinic, are people referred there? They just walk in? How do people learn about this clinic?
Sure, yeah, we've got several advertisements around town. You can be referred or you can walk in. Either way is completely fine, so.
I've got a question for you. You said that you're going to expand your services into dental and eye care. Have you started that yet, or is that in the future? And do you have any, information about that you'd like to share? Because I think that sounds like an awesome thing.
Sure, she's coming up. If you ask dollars, we can get all four of us up there next to
We can all hover around a microphone. So that is future expansion plans.
Okay.
Part of our clinic is being a federally qualified health center. We have to ensure our patients have access to that. So while we aren't immediately providing it, we have partnered with others to ensure the patients are receiving the same access to care that we would be able to provide in the meantime. So that is future expansion for us. Looking, as many of you know, we bought some land out near Aegis Dental where we have plans for a future clinic, which would include some of those expanded services.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anybody have anything else?
I would just like to say, for my 8 years on the board, I really appreciate it. I've learned a lot from day one that I've joined the board. You have a dedicated staff and employees. They're recognized throughout the state as premier, and I think we are really blessed to have this in our community.
And we're absolutely thrilled that your world headquarters is here too.
Absolutely. Yes,
you.
thank
And
you.
not going anywhere. That's
And we're thankful for you, John.
That's right.
Yes, we are.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is Michael White with Appraisal Management Research Company. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Mark Roth. Michael's not
Oh,
here
okay.
this evening. He's out of town. So he asked me to stop on behalf of IDNA Series LLC. I'm the general manager. And so I just wanted to answer any questions that I could about the pending application for the tax abatement.
Could you start by just giving us a brief overview of what IDNA does?
Sure. Well, we're better known as You the Fan. And some of you may have seen a product called the Sportula. It's a grilling spatula with a laser cut logo. We're a licensee of the NFL, Major League Baseball, about 150 different colleges across the country, the National Hockey League as well. So it all started with a barbecue spatula, and we've since expanded into 3D stadiums. We do cutting boards, coasters, desk pads, all kinds of home decor. We started as a developer of the product. We outsourced the manufacturing. Over the last couple years, we've experienced challenges with the supply chain, both domestically and overseas. Overseas, we probably do about 90% of our sourcing. So over the past couple years, we began to invest in our own manufacturing, which meant infrastructure, equipment, and then obviously increased labor.
Okay, does anybody have other questions? So what you are asking, and what we would be doing tonight, is only designating the area
Correct.
as a declaratory resolution. So personal property is the purpose of the abatement that you're asking for.
Yes.
And that would be only to buy equipment. And then I see you show that there should be 8 employees that would be added, that would be paid about $34,000 a year.
Roughly, yes. Yes, it's going to require about 8 full-time employees, some of which we've already hired, but we're going to be hiring more. I believe the window began the first of the year and extends to, according to the paperwork, I think it's the 1st of January 2024
Okay.
is the length of the project.
And has the equipment already been purchased?
Not all of it, no. Some of it has, yes.
Okay.
Do you know what the average wage of your new employees is going to be?
The average wage of the people that we've hired is $17 an hour.
Okay.
And we have both full-time staff and part-time staff currently.
So according to the information on the SB1, you're showing 49 current employees, and their annual wage would be $38,694 if you take the amount divided by 49. So you're paying about $38,000 per person, average.
Yes, on our
at this point.
floor staff,
Okay.
yes, correct.
Okay. So your anticipated assessed value for the personal property, you're expecting that to be a shade under $700,000.
Yes, I
Okay.
believe so.
We have in the past designated this area for real estate, but we have not set it aside for personal. And, you know, it's been through a few hands lately. And the last, I think it came off of receiving abatement in '21 for real estate. So at this point, anybody else have any questions or want to entertain a motion?
Could I ask one quick question? Are there any additional infrastructure needs that you're going to have? And the only reason why I ask is if you look at the statute, that's one of the things that we're to consider.
Sure. Yes, I believe there will be. I don't have that defined yet.
Okay.
As we're a company that's in major growth right now. And so some of that hasn't been defined. But I believe the answer to that will be yes. I just don't know how much space and then what that's going to cost at this time.
Okay, thank you.
So would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion. Do we have a resolution number?
TBD.
To be determined.
To be determined.
Yeah.
it's a
Didn't know if
TBD.
Michelle already had one set
No.
up.
It's just in red.
I'll second the motion to approve the declaratory resolution.
Okay, and then as a side note to that, we have to assign the number of years. So I would assume, since you said 24, we would make it be no more than a 3-year. Would everybody be agreeable to that?
Yes,
So-
do you want to amend your motion, Ernie? Do we have to amend the motion?
We should stipulate it.
I think we probably should to identify.
I'll approve the 3-year abatement on personal property then, as part of my motion.
Great.
I'll
thank you.
second that.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? So at this point, all we're doing is approving this to be considered at our next meeting to vote on the actual abatement.
Right.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. No one opposed. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
sir. Okay, and the next issues are the ARPA committee recommendations.
Good evening.
Hey, Tony?
Good evening.
I'm here tonight after making an application to the ARPA committee to receive ARPA funds to upgrade equipment at the coroner's office. In 2019, we moved into the coroner's office, we established our own facility, and in the process of establishing that facility and being able to put forth some effort on our side, we managed to get a lot of equipment, tables and stuff, and cots donated to us that were used from other funeral homes. I mean, they were used equipment, we got them, and so they're beginning to fail. I explained this to the ARPA committee, and I explained it to the commissioners a couple weeks ago. So we need this upgrade, and it would make things a lot more efficient, do things better. So what we're looking for is 3 morgue tables to be able to use in our cooler, a hydraulic autopsy table that we use to do all the other things that we do, and a body lift that can lift up to 1,000 pounds. It's a safety thing for my people, it's a safety thing for the people we deal with, so we don't cause any damage to somebody.
No injuries.
So the amount is $20,547.40. That was through Affordable Funeral Supply, who supplies just about every funeral home, at least in this area. And it is pretty much the cheapest place you can buy anything, but it's still good quality equipment. All the tables will be stainless steel, so we don't have to worry about corrosion or anything like that, like we have on the ones we currently use.
Is this the second power lift? Didn't we purchase one a while back?
I purchased one out of my budget
Yeah.
in 2019. That is a hand crank. This one, and it only goes to 400 pounds.
Okay,
This one's 1,000 pound and it's power.
thank you. Thought I was having memory failure for a
Yeah,
second.
and then this is just the total, it's not an itemized request, right?
The back sheet.
Back
has
is
the-
itemized, Kim.
Oh, okay, thanks.
And that $20,547.40 also includes the freight shipping.
I would make a motion for approval since this was approved by the ARPA committee.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Thank you very much. I just want to point out this is significantly less than Vicki Luton's is asking for.
What an intro.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for, on behalf of Cardinal, for entertaining our request of $200,000.
Thanks, Jay.
To go towards our Ability Campaign, a campaign to impact lives. My name is Vicki Lutens, and I'm the Executive Director. Jay Baumgartner is actually a board member and has served many years, Jay. 7 years. So he's well-versed. If you have questions for him, he's here to answer. So we are requesting $200,000. I'm excited to share that we have raised $6.9 million. We just received another $100,000 since we met with the commissioners, and we are in the public phase. It was a $7.5 million project that we had to add $500,000 contingency because of the cost of supplies, which we're all feeling that with our pocketbooks. We are adding 3,000 square feet to build our Opportunity Lab, and this is going to be part of the workforce development under manufacturing, healthcare, and hospitality. It'll be certifications for the people we serve with disabilities, but also other individuals in the community will be able to go. We are launching CNA certification this spring. And so we're super excited about that, but we surveyed the community, and those are the 3 areas that have the greatest need with the workforce shortage. We moved in to our facility in 1967, and we have done minimal work, basically putting Band-Aids. It's all been cosmetic. We are in desperate need of renovations. Our vision is a community center, with the Redbird Art Studio being our inspiration. And we have, since then, it's evolved to many different club rooms like culinary arts, tech lab, performing arts. And I could go on forever with all the different club rooms because the people we serve have now embraced that, and they are creating what they want. And so we have found it's helping for interest, building relationships, but also job opportunities and learning how to live independently. Does anybody have any questions?
No, I commend you for the job that you do.
Me too.
Thank you. Thank you.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve
I
the
second that.
$200,000.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. As approved by ARPA.
I'll
Okay, we
second
have a
that.
motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor,
I
raise
just
your
want to say I
right
went to
hand.
your event today. It was just
Thank
lovely.
you.
It's so impressive, all the work that you guys do. It's really amazing.
Thank you. I'm exhausted, but it was
Yeah, I bet.
fantastic, so thank you so much. Am I done?
Thank you very much. You're good, dear, you're good. Okay, moving right along, we're ready for the Historical Society.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Greg Steffi. I'm with the Kosciuszko County Historical Society. The money that we are requesting is for a 2-faceted project that we've been working on at the Old Jail Museum. First was the replacement of 4 aging HVAC units that were all over 20 years old. I've basically attempted to be more proactive than retroactive on this situation because it was on a question of if they're going to go bad, as a question of how many and how soon. We have been able to replace 2 of those units so far, so we have 2 more to replace. We're working with Alliance Comfort Solutions on that project. The second facet of our project is addressing a long-standing leak problem we've had with that building. I've worked with Marcia McSherry over the years with this. We've looked at roof drains, caulking. I had Button Timmons come in and do some tuck pointing last year, hopefully would address it. It hasn't taken care of the problem. So upon Marcia's suggestion, I contacted Masonry Solutions out of Wabash. They came in and looked at the building. I think they've got a pretty good handle on what's going on. I don't think it's going to take a whole lot to take care of the problem. We just like to get it solved because it's just a nuisance more than anything else. Whenever the rain's out of the right direction, the water comes in, it's leaking through the ceiling before it does any further damage to the building. We just like to get it stemmed and taken care of. So that's essentially the cause of our request here.
Does anybody have any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you very much. If I could take just a moment to ask a question, how do we receive these funds? Do we actually get a check? Do we bring the bills to you?
Michelle's on.
Michelle can answer that.
Okay,
Michelle will be in touch with you.
perfect. Thank you, thank you all, thank you all so much.
We don't have a checkbook,
Okay.
just in case you were wondering.
Hey, I tried to go easy on you. I mean,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next is community.
Combined communities. CCS.
CCS, there you go.
Hi, Randy.
Hello. Everybody doing all right?
Doing okay. How about
Getting
you?
cold out there, so
Now,
it's,
tell us about your visitors you brought with us.
well-
This is a little younger than our normal audience. Hi.
these are two of the four grandkids. These, London and Livia, these are Tiffany's kids. They live in Carmel, and this is their fall break, and they wanted to spend it with Grandpa. So I said, you can spend it, but I've got a meeting to go to, and we'll behave ourselves. But when you told them to turn off the cell phones, I don't think they were gonna make it. So at that point, they've kept them off.
Well, I've been watching them. They've done very well.
They're very well behaved.
Super, thank you very much. Well, I'm here this evening requesting $100,000 for Combined Community Services. I've been out there now for 3 years. Have enjoyed every minute of being with that family. We're impacting a lot of lives, especially now with inflation going on. Our food pantry is just setting all-time records of new people coming in, and they just can't afford the food. And so the building out there on Mariners Drive is approaching 13 years. And when I arrived, I had to write some grants in order to get some of the equipment brought up to par. And Klein Freeman have been my go-to people, and we've been having some issues. There's 6 HVAC units on the roof, and we're starting to really have issues. We're springing leaks, and so they told me that these HVAC units have a life of anywhere between 10 and 15 years. And they said, Randy, you're approaching that, and you're going to start seeing more and more. So I went out and received 3 bids on getting those replaced. The committee accepted Klein Freeman as a low bid, just under 78,000. I think it's 77,543. So they accepted that one in order to take off the old units and put the 6 new units up. And then the other part of this, Combined Community Services, we have 2 cargo vans out there. When I arrived, they did not have a refrigerated van, and I found out that they were throwing away a lot of food because they couldn't keep it cold enough from getting the donations from local stores and out to the agency. So I wrote a grant through the Seaman Foundation, and we were able to get a used refrigerated van that the team has been using. The other van has over 200,000 miles on it, and it is really nickeling and diming us at this point. And so I wrote another grant to Seaman, and I was trying to get right around 48 to 50,000 from Seaman. They awarded us 30,000. So the other portion of this ask is to cover the rest of that money in order to get a new van for CCS.
Make a motion to approve, and thank you for feeding the hungry out there. That's very important, along with all your other programs.
And
Thank you very much.
Randy, I understand the refrigerated van, and what do you use the other van for? Is that for people or stuff or both?
The other van is used basically even more than the refrigerated van. They use that Wednesdays and Fridays. They go out every day to pick up donations around the community. If we know that we're getting frozen items, they'll take the refrigerated vehicle. But the other van is the one that's used the most.
And I do want to clarify one thing. We rounded that up to $100,000
Thank you.
because there was some concern about the one estimate on the heat and whether
Correct.
that was going to be the right
Correct.
thing.
Yes,
So
thank
we
you.
rounded it up, and they understand that they can only spend what they're spending on what they're spending on,
Right.
and we're not spending on anything else.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
I'll go ahead and,
So-
I'll second that.
okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Randy.
Appreciate it.
And young ladies, thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate that very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
They're going, I'm never going anymore.
Sarah, it's your turn.
Hey, Sarah.
911.
Good evening, you guys.
Good
Hope everybody's
evening.
doing well. I am here tonight to seek approval of the recently ARPA grant that was submitted to upgrade the 911 phone system. This is the last piece to the Kosciuszko County Communications Project. The last time this equipment was upgraded was in 2015. I've been told the equipment life cycle is typically 5 to 7 years, so we're right at that benchmark. And as you know, things that get older start to have issues, and we are now starting to experience those issues. They are coming to end of life. The overall amount that I did request was $48,250.41.
I'll make a motion to approve that
Second.
amount.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you very much,
Motion
you
carried.
guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Welcome.
So the next item on the agenda is the JDAI, the administration compensation for those 2 probation officers who are taking care of the JDAI program. I think we've already heard from Karen. If you've got anything else you want to say, Karen, you're welcome to the microphone, but
I'll make a motion that we approve what we have been discussing about the JDAI coordinators.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second, and that will show that the hourly rate for those 2 positions will be $25 an hour when they're working on those particular items. Any further questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. And to the sheriff's information for insurance replacement.
Hello.
Good evening.
Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Good evening. We're just requesting a appropriation adjustment for a sheriff's insurance replacement for a vehicle that was claim totaled, and we need to get that appropriated so we can use it to buy a replacement vehicle.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thankfully, the insurance covers several of these in a year, and we are able to add that back so you can spend it for
Yes,
something
all
more
right,
meaningful.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, and next on the agenda is VOCA. Dan Hampton,
Good evening.
welcome.
Good evening.
So I'm here on the VOCA. As you know, we've had VOCA for several years, I think at least until 2003, when I came back in the prosecutor's office. And the VOCA has been very helpful in providing the victim assistant for the prosecutor's office. So this is from the grant of the VOCA that we currently have. It's just a matter of appropriating it to the necessary areas for the salary for the victim assistant.
Motion to approve.
Second that.
And then we understand that that would come out of the incentive fund of the prosecutor's office? Is that correct?
Yes.
If the balance is 0, which it
Yes.
is right at the moment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
So yeah, at some point before the end of the year, it will be rectified. I think there's $39,000 that it's more has been spent than what was in there. But we know that that comes out of the incentive fund.
Right. We do that. Yep.
Okay. Okay, anybody have any other questions? All those in favor, oh, I guess I should call for a
Oh,
motion.
you did.
We
Did
did.
we already motion? I'm sorry, got lost in the shuffle.
We had a motion and a second.
Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving right along, we have an additional appropriation for the Health Department.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have two new appropriations requests this evening. The first is a request for money from our county health fund. County health, not the fund, but going into our part-time nurse fund and our group insurance fund. Our nurses have had to spend a lot more time with kids catching up on their immunizations due to this COVID. And I've just had a lot more hours to pay in that. We have the money in our county health section to pay that.
Right, unlike most of the things that Bob is asking for in grants, this is tax dollars. This piece is tax dollars.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Second. Any further questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
Was that for both appropriations?
Yeah, because they're both on
Okay.
the same sheet, so.
Okay. I also had a grant request to, approval to apply for our local health maintenance grant. That embodies actually two grants, not two grants, but two sections. A local health department trust account. Those are two different funds, but they're within the same grant.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Yes. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion
Okay.
carried.
What vehicles are you going to replace?
I don't plan to replace any this year, this coming year.
Okay, it says that's part of the purpose of the grant. That's why I'm asking.
I've
We
listed
can
every,
scratch that?
I've listed everything we can possibly spend it on
Oh,
that's approved by the grant.
Thank you.
So it gives us a lot of options.
Yes. I also have, lastly, I have a request we've been partnering with the Bowen Center to do COVID testing for the past year. That ran out June 30th of 2022. And about 2 weeks before it ran out, the state informed us that they'd like to carry it through another 6 months to December 31st of '22. And Bowen Center would like to do that. We'd like to help them with the funding and equipment and test kits to do that. And I'm asking your approval to do that.
Bob, what sites are they currently using in the county for their testing?
We were at the fairgrounds for a long time, and we moved out to the Center Lake Pavilion, and now they're at Our Lady of Guadalupe Church on North Detroit.
Okay.
And it's not huge numbers anymore, but it's a steady stream of people. And we'll carry it through till the end of December.
What are your hours there?
Tuesdays from 11 to 6, and 10 to 2 on the last Saturday of each month.
And I saw that this was going to be done in increments, so if it drops off and there's no need for the second half of the funding, you said it's going to do 25,000 and then wait to do the second
Well,
25,000.
it'll come as 50,000 to carry us through 6 months, because that started technically July 1st.
So it's retroactive, basically,
Yes.
going back to cover expenses that you've already incurred.
Yes,
And it ends at the end of the year.
yes.
Okay.
They were very slow in getting us what we needed to sign. That didn't actually come till the first week of October, so.
Well, thank you for keeping on it.
Okay, so could we have a motion on this grant then?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, thank
We're
you.
done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. County Administrator.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First two items that are on here are for help grant, through the ARPA. These both items have both been through the processes and have been approved, and this is just to appropriate the money for spending. The first one is the $20,000 for the community coordinator, that is for her salary. And the second one is the ARPA help grant for Help Kosciuszko, and that's the $1.2 million.
And I just have a question, Marcia. In regards to the 1.2 million, since in following that, is the ARPA committee or the commissioner, who's going to approve each particular project? Would it be the
I believe
ARPA?
those will have to come back, the money will be appropriated, but it'll still have to come back from approval.
So each project is going to come past us?
Yes, that'll come
Excellent.
back and be approved.
Right, I think they've just finished the deadline to
Yes.
get them all pulled together.
That's what I thought.
And then
Okay.
they'll come back to the commissioners.
And
They'll
then
come back
here.
to us as well.
Total approval and transparency.
Excellent. I make a motion to approve those two.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. No one opposed.
Okay, next I have the $5,000 transfer. This is for legal services from land and improvements to the legal services. I believe at this point in time, we do not have the invoice for September. We should have that tomorrow as required. I believe last month was $3,250 for the billing, and $1,050 of that was for the county highway. So we are tracking those separately.
And I guess I have a question. So the balance in the account is $16,800? Is that correct?
Yes.
And so,
And the question is?
the question is, why are we appropriating another 5,000 if your balance is 16,800?
$10,000 of that is designated to the county highway. So that doesn't leave a large balance, and we have to have funds by the end of the year to cover for December as opposed to being able to do the, Okay?
So you have to have money at the end of the year to encumber.
So of
Right.
that 16,800, 10,000 is already been assumed that the highway is going to get those bills, or?
That is designated for the highway's use. Of that, $1,050 has been spent.
Okay, does anybody have any other questions? Could we have a motion?
Well, it's allocated, right? It's not actually spent.
That's correct.
Right.
So there's still a balance of $16,800.
That is correct.
Okay.
Of that, 10,000 is for the use of the county highway.
Well, this is somewhat what we agreed to before, so I'm going to
Yeah.
make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have some updates, if I may.
Please.
The capacitor that was approved to be installed in the Justice Building to kind of help with our utilities over there has been installed. It's been programmed. It's up and running. I do have spreadsheets that I track the demand charges and so on, so we should be able to see as we go through the next year some savings in that. Also, this past week, I had Core Mechanical and Johnson Controls. That's basically what manages our HVAC in the Justice Building. We had them both on site at the same time because we've had issues, and we have found that a lot of the issues we're having are on the Johnson Control side, so we do have those things identified, and kind of making a list of what is the top priority. Eventually, we need to have it all done, but what is the top priority at this time? And we'll start to work through those items on that list because it is quite extensive. A lot of it was just programming, but we need to get the system back to square one so we have a fighting chance of keeping things maintained as they should be.
So do we expect any of those things, Marcia, to be big ticket items that need to be addressed?
I'm
or-
waiting on the cost for
Don't know yet.
controls,
Okay.
and that would probably be, at this point in time, that would be the biggest issue, would be replacing controls, but they couldn't give me even a guesstimate on that. So
Okay.
once I get that, then I'll be able to give you a better idea of what it looks like. Another item is the Public Safety Communications Project. We'll be doing some spot testing tomorrow on the known problem areas throughout the county. We are narrowing down to completing the project. We'll see how tomorrow goes, whether it's tomorrow or the first of the week, because obviously if we have issues in some of those areas, they do have to come back and make adjustments to the system and then go back out and do testing again. So we're not in a hurry to rush that, but we are at that point in time.
That's great.
So, yes. And then another project that we've had out there, this was approved through ARPA, we're still waiting, is through Corson. This is for the fire alarm system in the Justice Building. That we're still waiting on one key component of it, and we cannot schedule it until that component comes in. So they're still waiting. I just heard from them. It's not in. They expect it any time, but until it shows up, they won't be able to schedule to start work on that project as well. So, okay. Thank you.
Marcia, I just want to thank you and Carrie for working with the county attorney, giving us more information rather
Yes.
than just a date and an invoice number. That's appreciated.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and next we have an appointment to the KCCRVC Board. Joni, do you want to share anything on that with us since you did the legwork on it?
Certainly. We had one of our appointees to the KCCRVC Board submit her resignation as she was transferred to another hotel, same hotel within another community. So in keeping with the rules of what we are to appoint, we sought out providers of things that bring people here. And one of the suggestions that we looked at was the owner of the Lily Pad and Frog's Restaurant, because a lot of people do come here to utilize that. It's an opportunity for some people to get on a lake that they otherwise wouldn't have that opportunity. And I spoke with Doug Shoemaker, and he is willing to serve. So I am submitting his name for consideration for the KCCRVC Board appointment.
I'll make a motion that we approve Shuey's appointment.
Shuey? I like
I'll
it.
second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Doug Shoemaker to serve in the KCCRVC Board position. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Okay, I have one thing that the commissioners shared at their meeting that I think is important that we share with everybody who's here and all of us. The Green Light Program for the veterans, from November 7th to the 11th, the county plans to light some portions of the courthouse green, and they were encouraging public to also buy a green light bulb or green cellophane and put over your light thing. So, and it's an honor and to pay tribute to the veterans who have done so much to make us be here today and to allow us to actually still exist. So it just is a sign of gratefulness. And then I do have information from the AIC, the newly elected officials training for the council should fall on December 6th and December 7th. So it would be a kind of a two-day thing, December 6th and December 7th.
Is that in Indy, Sue Ann?
It will be in Plainfield, I believe, is the plan.
And that's only for newly elected, correct?
It is for newly elected or anybody who did not get to attend if they
They're
took
newly
office
elected.
when we were
Right.
in COVID series.
Correct.
So 2 years ago, when we did an NEO, it was all done through video, and they didn't get that personal connection, and we feel that that's important. And the state has allowed that could happen. So anybody is welcome to attend. if
So
they
I can go.
You can go. Yes, Annie, you can go.
Miss newly elected.
So does anybody have anything else?
Sue Ann, I'm confused. Did we approve the September 8th minutes?
Yes,
Yes.
we approved, when I made the motion.
You did both
I want to
together?
clarify,
Okay.
when I made the motion to approve minutes.
I did not hear that.
I just want to make sure that it was clarified, because I made the motion to approve the minutes, that it were both dates, the 8th and the 24th.
You guys got that? Wonderful, thank you. I'm glad you're on top of it.
Okay.
Totally missed it, sorry, Kim.
No, that's okay.
Anything else? Anything from the audience? Anybody have any questions, concerns, thoughts, comments?
The only thing I'd like to say is I went to MACOG yesterday, and they announced that they started it, is it the Pell Survey? Did I call that right? The Pell Survey, and that's going to be open to the public. I looked on their website, and I couldn't exactly figure out how to find it on their website, so I'm not sure it's actually active right now, but it will be soon if it's not, for MACOG, for people to be able to give public input on US 30 and that sort of thing. Also, they're going to be doing another letting for grants for electric buses, so I believe that will be after the first of the year, but the school corporation should be looking out for that, because I think the awards are pretty substantial if
Yes.
they're interested in doing an electric bus, so, or any kind of, I believe, EV of sorts, so there might be other alternatives to that, which I think is like propane.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I believe that will happen at the beginning of next year, so be on the lookout for that for the school corporations.
Do they make hybrid buses?
I'm not a bus expert.
I don't know if they make them or not, but.
They should.
Do they,
Yes.
Carrie?
Do they make hybrid buses?
Yes, they make hybrid buses.
Just curious.
So something else that I believe all of us should have received was from the Indiana Department of Health. And I think some big changes are coming down the pike. You may know more about some things, Bob, but they are looking at, they did the study with Dr. Box and Luke Henley to study health in the state of Indiana. And they're looking at making some pretty big changes, I believe, and being more funding coming from the state to help support them. Part of their information says funding per person varies widely from county to county, from $1.25 per person to $83 per person across the county. So, and we rank 45th for public health spending in the state of Indiana. So that's kind of a big deal. We will be hearing more and more about that, I know.
And Sue-Ann, isn't that a lot of mental health also?
A lot of it is mental
And
health.
hopefully we can use it in our jails.
Well, and I believe that's also part of what's going to tie back to that JRAC committee
That's
for the
right.
judges.
Correct.
Because that's where they feel like those people have the expertise and know more about those people that have the mental issues. I mean, Kathy may know more about it because she's attended those JRAC meetings, but.
Well, I attended the meeting at AIC for the healthcare thing, and basically what she was saying is it's to implement a lot more services within the
Correct.
health department.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be mostly for hiring new employees to do new programs. But she didn't say exactly what it would be. I thought it would be related to the opioid thing, but it at least at the thing I went to, it didn't really sound like it was.
Well,
But-
this is saying that it's.
It is,
mental health.
okay.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I think in the first AIC meeting, they said it was going to be directed a lot in mental health services and just the wide range. They
Yeah.
wanted to get out to different units, like taxing units and/or different departments to utilize the monies, and hopefully we can make sure we get the grant application so we can get our hands on that, so.
Yeah.
And this also mentions that like cities and towns could have impact into the health departments and what their thinking is. So there will probably be a fair amount of legislation this year coming through to discuss this. And I'm sure it will be well vetted because they'll have lots of different ideas coming at them, I'm sure. So. Okay, now, does anybody have anything else?
Well, since Mike's not here, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Wait.
Joni's saying wait.
I just have a question. about the mental health services thing as well as the other.
You want to come up to the microphone?
Now that the kids left, I'm the youngest person in the room. Nice to see you guys.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. So we're talking about the additional services for the fact that Indiana performs pretty poorly in that right now. You mentioned mental health services, and I suppose it's kind of a two-part question, because one, I know that's a nebulous term that kind of gets thrown around in government spaces a lot, and people don't often know specifically what they're addressing when they talk about the mental health issues. It sounds like they are doing something for the opioid epidemic based off of what you said. Do we know what else they might be focused on with that, or is that something we might hear more about in the future about what things that they see identified specifically as problems that made them want to make a change about it?
I think they see an overall drug problem, and I don't know if opioid specific. Does that make sense? And so a lot of times, like in our jail, we had to like adopt a program actually to get treatment in our jail. So there's a lot of programs that need funding for other people to have, in addition to having maybe a rehabilitation for a drug program, they need mental health counseling also to work with them. And so I think that Dr. Bach, the state is working to get the counties and cities and towns more funding so we can provide more counseling and provide more services overall. Is that how you see
And
it?
to answer the other part of your question, I believe the presentation from the Bowen Center is kind of on the cutting edge of that, where they're saying they're working with schools, they're working with people that otherwise might not be discovered to have mental health issues. Those are the people that they're trying to get to. And I believe the Bowen Center seems to be very much on the cutting edge with the presentation they gave us this evening. So that's encouraging for our community.
That
John?
kind of leads me into my notes from the last Bowen Center meeting. They opened up, they're opening up new full quality health clinics in Wabash and the Goshen Road in Fort Wayne. And some of those services they'll be providing are mental health, substance use, psychiatric, and just primary care service. A lot of the clients these clinics see are Medicaid people that doctors may not want to see, but the clinic has staff there where these people can go to and feel, don't feel like they're being watched.
Also, I would just like to mention too that next Friday, the 21st, there's going to be a big mental health summit.
Yes.
That all the JRAC participants, all the people on JRAC are to attend. So I'll be attending that. And I think at that, we should find out a whole lot. And Judge McGrath will be coming too. So I think we'll find out a lot about what the state is planning to do to address some of the issues that we've been discussing in a more detailed way. So hopefully I'll have better information next time concerning at least that aspect of it. So if you want to come back, you're more than welcome.
Awesome. Is that a public event on the 21st?
No, I don't believe it is.
Okay, so answers my question. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Okay. Before we adjourn, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up that I know that I came before you as the Redevelopment Commission President, and we approved utilizing attorney fees to investigate doing TIF districts. Well, we have now been informed that we have passed the 1% test for the two housing projects, the one at South Shore and the one at Etna Green. However, if we don't want to repay to do the 1% testing, we have to have everything done by December 31st. So there is a possibility that we will be coming back, and it may even have to be a called meeting because we will need 30 days. And we're trying to figure out timelines, and we're meeting this week to do that. So we're working with Baker Tilly, Andy, and he's informed us that we have to have all these things done or we start over.
Thank
So-
you for staying on it, Joni.
Yeah, because that evaluation has to come within the calendar year, so.
I'm going to second Ernie's motion to adjourn.
Well, thank you very much. All those in favor, raise your right hand. So now we can tell Mike Long that we can do this without him. It's tough, but we managed to
We
get
can
it
do
done.
what?
Thank you all. Thank you all.
That's good.
The recording has stopped.